Hey everybody, it's Roger Thorpe here, president of Thorpe Benefits, on a actually beautiful morning here where I am in Midtown Toronto. Nice to see you, Bianca, Alison. Thanks for helping me with this. We're going to try to summarize as best we can the top three key insights that came out of the Benefits Canada Health Survey. And I know we've all been getting this over the years. Probably put it aside and try to pull out at some point some of the key things. And they all go into our head and we see how it's changing over the years. There's some questions that have, been asked for many, many years in a row. But I find it difficult sometimes to, comb through the entire thing,
Yeah,
right?
it's only a short 46 pages of
Yeah,
data. So
yeah,
it would be
yeah.
nice if someone did a summary. So here we
And
are.
that's what we're doing. So, in an organized but fairly casual conversation, each of us is going to share what we think is the big insight that we got, and then, of course, the key thing there is to give our audience an idea of what they should do with that insight, right? So, I will, as we bring them up, I'll reference the data points best I can without going overboard. And then we can talk about the action plan that we think our community and our clients should think about as it relates to that. So,
Sounds good.
okay, so let's get into this. All right. Okay, that's a take, don't you think?
Yep. Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
good.
Okay. All right. So
Are
let's
you
try.
keeping this recorded? Because it's still, or are you
Yep.
gonna, oh,
Yeah,
I'll
okay,
cut it.
it's
okay.
I'll
recording.
cut it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Anna will just take that opener
Okay,
and add
perfect.
it to the next three. All right. So here goes the first one.
Is that me?
That's you. So
Okay.
basically, you can jump right in, give it about 3, 4, 5 seconds of air, dead air, and then just say, okay, so I'll go first, and then just share your thing. The rehearsal of this is, again, is you're just saying, listen, I think what I see
Yeah.
is I see like a concerning like crossover,
Interconnection.
yeah,
Yeah.
of these three things, and go for it. Don't worry
Okay.
about perfection, and I won't either, but we'll manage. Okay, so when you're ready.
Okay. How about I go first? So the first
For it.
insight that I gleaned was we seem to see that there is now an interconnection between, the mental health stress plus the financial strain. It
Right?
seems to be becoming like this tsunami of pressure for
Right.
people out there, and I looks like the survey supports that.
Yeah, I agree. Let me see if I can speak to that. So we have a continuous rating on poor mental health. That's about 1 in 5 plan members rate themselves that way. About 1 in 4, though, also rate themselves as having poor financial health, right? So as that continues to get worse, you can imagine everyone listening to this can relate to when you're stressed about money. It tends to be never goes away, and it's just always there. So you sort of combine that also with the fact that 4 in 10 plan members are saying that they're experiencing high to extreme levels of stress daily, right? So we know that that comes from a variety of things, whether that is financial in nature. There's just too many things in so many directions coming at us. And so the other final sort of key data point I think that's interesting, and I always used to kind of chuckle about this question because they always ask, would you take
Oh, right.
$10,000 in cash in comparison to your benefits? And 60% of plan members would choose that. So, I mean, it's a lot of
I would.
money. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Of course, it takes away the insurable risk
Oh.
protection that people have, and that's something else to talk about. But it's telling that people would say, listen, if you can take the financial pressure off of me, it makes a big difference in my life. So we have to recognize that that is there. So, what do we do about it? Okay, so what I would say, and tell me if you agree, is I would say we need to make sure we have robust mental health coverage, which I'm sure a lot of people listening have already done that, but they have to make sure that it's moving in that direction. But I think we need to add a stress management component to the mental health education. So it can't just be dealing with chronic anxiety and depression, it should be, how do we manage day to day? How do we manage the combinations of work and family and things? This is a skill, and the perception, as we talk about, of what stress is so key. So, and finally, I would say, and we've done this for our clients, is add some sort of financial well-being, financial wellness program that gives people a sense of not just retirement planning, but really the ability to manage debt, rent, mortgage, check to check, that kind of stress. So does everyone kind of agree with that as well? I'm sure, Bianca, you've seen this on the wellness side for sure.
I was just going to say, if I could add, I think this whole point, it's a reminder that wellness support also needs to address both the emotional and financial sides together. And that's why we're seeing that financial well-being is just as important and also part of a key pillar of wellness as well.
Yeah, can't forget it.
Yeah.
So this is a telling statistic that they're all moving kind of in a dangerous direction. So, okay. So let's move on to the next one.
To the next one.
Okay, that's a keeper.
Yeah,
I think so.
Nice. We're on a roll.
Okay.
So Bianca, are you good with this one?
Yeah, let me just take a sip.
Yeah.
Do I have to, am I super involved in anything else? I just sort of do a color commentary or something?
Whatever you want to say.
Okay.
Jump in. It should
You're
be
like, okay.
I'll just chill out now.
No, banter away. It shouldn't just be me. Ideally, we need
I know.
a little bit of extra.
I'll say something.
Yeah. All right, Bianca, you ready to go?
So 5 seconds of dead air and then go on. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll go next. So I think one of the biggest surprises for me when I was going through the survey was how much employers are actually underestimating the chronic illnesses in the workplace. The reality is that these conditions are far more common than most employers realize. And I think it's because these conditions are invisible. We talk about illnesses like diabetes, high blood pressure, the list could go on. And, often employees manage them silently.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I guess the component there is what's the consequence really of having these chronic illnesses, and then what's the plan doing? I agree totally. I think there's a disconnect here between what plan sponsors think is going on and what plan members are actually going through, right? And as you say, unreported in a way. But the stats say that almost 60% of plan members are dealing with at least one diagnosed chronic health condition. So, and if employers think that, well, it's a smaller amount than that, it's kind of in there somewhere. I think we need to address the fact that we need to have a position on chronic illness and a support plan in effect for it. But the other component of this that's obviously showing up in the benefit area is over half of plan members said that they're hitting their plan maximums on at least one benefit. Now, that could be massage or chiro, and that's fine. But the key thing here is I'm concerned with people maxing out and then stopping their treatment.
Yeah.
Right.
Like on physio and those kind of things and mental health and those kind of things that are required.
Especially mental health.
Yeah.
I mean, if I stop because financially I just, can't do it, what does that do? What does that mean? I guess, you could argue that the physical and the mental are different, but if my tennis elbow is continuing to act up and I have to, treat it differently than going to physio or whatever, but that's my concern here, is that if we don't keep an eye on plan maximums and approaches to the financial reimbursement of this, we can't cover everything. So this is part of what we're covering in our recent roundtable here, is around, balancing innovation in the plan, the evolution of the design with budget. So obviously that's part of it, but I'm a little concerned. So what I would suggest is that we need to kind of go back and reevaluate those maximums. Maybe look at the data particularly and see where we're getting high usage. We can see by non-identified but plan member data to see how many people are actually maxing out on that. It's already been said we should address the mental health limits that we have. And then the last one would be, we know that weight management and obesity as a chronic illness is there. And we are talking to our clients about what to do about it, not just in the sense of medication solutions, but Bianca, like, bringing education to it to help people manage that and talk about a stressor. I mean, living with obesity all your life and struggling with it, you can imagine that's another component. So it's not that we are saying that people should cover obesity medications yet, but we need to be talking about all the components, the proactive components of that. Okay. I should get a little bit of more feedback on that
I
from you
know.
guys. So let's do
Trying
that
to
one
think of
more
something to
time.
say. Okay, no
Do
problem.
that one more time. And so with your question, I would just say, yeah, I would say, Alison, maybe you jump in and say, like, listen, I'm talking to my clients, our clients all the time,
Mhm.
and we're gonna have to. So I probably will let you
Sure.
take that
The end
soundbite.
of it, sure.
Yeah.
The soundbite about obesity, absolutely, I can do that.
About the medication decision,
Yep.
how to deal with it. And Bianca, I would second my point to say, yeah, like what my dream is to give every client a way to proactively get ahead of obesity, and not just from medication standpoint, but to have almost like as we talk, have a playbook plan around that. Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
on obesity, right?
Sorry.
On obesity,
Yeah,
proactively get
like
ahead on
chronic
obesity.
illness
Yeah. Okay.
was the
Yes.
component, but we're
Yeah.
like, let's pick that and see if we can address that one.
Okay.
All right, so 5-second pause and just say, okay, I'll jump in and I'll take this one next. All right, when you're
Yeah.
ready. When you're ready.
Okay, I'll go next. So, I think one of the biggest surprises for me was how much employers are underestimating chronic illnesses in their workplace. So, you know that the reality is that these conditions are actually far more common than most employers realize. And that's because these conditions are actually invisible. There are illnesses like diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, and, often employees manage them silently.
Yeah, and I guess thank you for that, Bianca. I think the issue there too is that if there's way more chronic illness happening from the true sense of it, diagnosed, and we don't address that as happening, our plans are going to fall short. So I would say that we definitely need to sort of take a position on chronic illness, and we'll get into that maybe in a second with specifics. But are the designs of our plan right now up to date? What I'm worried about, really honestly, is someone who hits a plan maximum and stops their treatment dead
Yep.
in their
Yep.
tracks.
Yeah, you can look at that with sort of physio or mental health, right? There's always maximums on those. And if someone's literally not going to go to finish their treatment because they can't afford it, that's a dangerous
Yeah.
situation.
It's not to say we can
Mhm.
we can really pay for everything, but
Nope.
and I guess that's what we're covering in an upcoming roundtable here, which people may have attended after watching this, but that there is a balance between the plan's innovation and evolution versus the budget we have. So we have to kind of, look at our priorities and balance all that out. But yeah, that to me is quite concerning. I would say the takeaway or the action I would suggest for HR people is go back and review those plan maximums. Maybe look at the data to see who is maxing out, where is it occurring across those different illnesses. And lastly, I think we all know that we're going to be dealing with obesity from a medication standpoint. What can we afford to cover in our formulary? But I guess, Bianca, this is to you probably, is we need
Yeah.
a response around that chronic illness itself
Yeah, for
beyond
sure.
just medication, right?
We develop these playbooks for our campaigns and focus areas. So even maybe just having a toolkit on trying to get ahead on these chronic illnesses like obesity, something for employers to reflect on and rely on to support their employees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, I'm talking to clients daily
Mhm.
on weight loss medication, whether to include it or not, whether to put maximums on it, what they look like.
Mhm.
It is an ever-changing landscape and will
Mhm.
evolve very quickly in the next 2 years. I think the
Yeah.
most important part is have the conversation, see what's out there. There's limited data because it's so new at present time, but that's changing. So just
Mhm.
having the conversation and staying on top of it, but having the open dialogue about it because it's not going away. We
Yeah.
are going to have to we're going to have to take a look at this, and we can't sweep it under the rug and pretend it's not there for much longer, which is what a
Yeah.
lot of people are doing at the moment. So it's
Yeah.
coming. It's best to have the conversations and be educated on what's out there.
And be ready.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think it's better for our clients to have a position that's
Yeah.
proactive rather than
Yep.
say nothing about it, because
For sure.
further
Hmm.
to the stress side of things, we know that obesity is
Hmm.
something people live with every day, and it's very, very taxing on them if they've been fighting through this through their whole life. So,
Yep. Yep.
so let's take action, take a position on it. So, thanks.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's a good one. Okay, good. Take two on that one. Let's use that. The last one
Hmm.
is mine. So, where have I got? Oh, yeah. Mine, I'm going to also finish with the fact that there are some sort of, what do you call them? What do you call those sort of visual icons or whatever in the
Infographics?
infographics?
Yeah.
There's some good infographics in the document that
Yeah.
address sort of overall health dimensions, whether it's like how sleep, eating, exercise all come together.
Mhm.
So I would recommend that people go back and kind of look at those. Okay, so I can do this one. Let me just zoom in on mine. Mine is about the expectations from employees around better flexibility. And then, but at the same time, there seems to be this gap of education, not knowing what the plan covers.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Obviously,
I'll comment on education, on
yeah,
communication and
yeah,
education. Okay,
you
no
can
problem.
speak to that too,
Yeah.
how important we've made that. Let me just make sure I have my notes here. Expectations. So they want broader support. Oh, right. Um, They want more flexibility. And that has a lot to do with workload and work
Mhm.
arrangement, which, if you think about it, if the plan is flexible, but the work environment is not, it's kind of a contradiction of beliefs. So yeah, that's the three pieces I have in that. So if you see the document, you can see what I'm reading from.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just take a second here and I'll start mine. Okay, so that's great. I think we can continue. I've got the last insight here to share with everybody,
Mhm.
and let's finish with this one. Mine is around the sort of continued expectation of employees for having the plan and more flexible, but it's also kind of counteracted by this kind of knowledge gap.
Mm.
Let me explain what I mean. What I'm taking from the data is I think employees, a large majority of employees are saying that they want their plan to be way more flexible and address their needs. Okay, fair enough. So flexibility is obviously something we can work on. But then that flexibility also falls into the work environment itself. So that means having reasonable work levels, right? And flexible work arrangements. So that seems to have been one of the most popular elements of flexibility. Isn't just about the design of the benefit plan. If
Hmm.
the work and the hours are not that way, it's very counterproductive. So I think we definitely need to work on that aspect. If we're way overworking our employees or we're way under resourced, you can give them whatever you want in benefits, but it's not going to solve for that
Yeah, and
problem
then you're probably going to start seeing some short-term disability claims, and
for
absence
sure.
management will become a big issue, right? And you
Yeah.
need that support for sure for accommodations, for return to
Mhm.
work, those
Yeah.
kind of things. So those are conversations definitely that should be had around, how are we managing accommodations for folks,
That too.
if they're striving for some more flexibility in the work environment.
Yeah. And as you say, if we survey our people and find out what they're really dealing with, I think that would be the telling piece of data,
Yeah.
right? Is how do our people in our organization feel as it relates to that? It's a key thing to know. The other component of this is around plan knowledge. We've been
Mm.
dealing with this challenge for years and take it very seriously. That we've always seen that there's kind of this disconnect of, if you don't really understand the plan, you typically rate it poorly.
Yeah.
And there's also a correlation here between people who are in poor health. They also rate their plan as more poor because it doesn't address their needs. So we have to get ahead of that and explain to people how they can use the plan. I think we can really talk about our rationale for how we built the plan in general. Like, why did we decide to prioritize certain things? If we say nothing about a benefit that we haven't included, then it's up to employees to interpret that.
Oh, and they talk, right?
They
So
do.
there's lots of water cooler talk, and we want to dispel any of those, negative emotions around
Or
the
resentment.
benefit.
Yeah.
Yep,
Mhm.
around the benefit plan. And education is, I mean, we've seen it in all of our clients, that the education goes so far, and
Hmm.
the employees really appreciate it, because exactly what you say, if they don't understand the philosophy around the build of the plan, or why things
Hmm.
are offered and why some things aren't, and at the end of the day, they often don't understand the budgetary confinements, right? They kind of think like
That's right.
it's the insurance carrier's money. They don't connect that back to the employer, and that connection is really key because it is part of their comp package, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think they need some transparency around those
Yes,
Yes.
decisions.
absolutely.
So, yeah, I guess the takeaway here is, let's go back and revisit the communication plan. How diverse is it? Is it consistent? What different mediums are you using to teach? I think people obviously don't like to take too much information at once, so a lot of micro learning is more
Mhm.
appropriate.
Mhm.
So we need to explore that. Yeah, I think that makes a huge, massive difference overall, and we've been saying that for years. And
Mhm.
you spend a lot of time doing that, Alison. So
I do.
yeah, yeah. So we've taken these three things. I think they're great summaries of the things that are in the survey. Thank you so much for your help in compiling this.
Mhm.
And hopefully, some of our action ideas will make some sense for people as well, so they can actually
Yeah.
use this for good reason. So, yeah, thanks everybody for your help today.